who was the president of DSC, who did great things with DSC over, I think he was there for 10 years. And so this young lady, Catherine Robinson, works for Manny Borneo, who runs this magazine that Josh Wagner, county council person, is invested in. And incidentally, I would like to mention also that in their last issue, they had an article, and the cover of it was featuring Ted Duran, the chairman, the present chairman of our HaHa board. Now, I don't know about you, but connecting the dots, it sounds sounds awful fishy. And I just want to say one more thing, Eddie.
Go ahead, please.
About that. You know, they had to get 6 people that were going to vote the way they wanted them to vote. And it was about the money, and I agree with Larry 100% about it. It was about the money.
So that was the first step.
They have a shortfall at the Ocean Center, $1.2 million, and they've had it for 2 years because of shrinkage in the bed tax. Bed tax used to be $7 million before the recession. It's now $5.2 million. Well, their budget for the Ocean Center was projected upon $7 million, and that would have covered the debt to fund the new construction. Well, when we had the recession, they have a shortfall. They're grabbing money for that shortfall elsewhere. The county manager and the county chair are grabbing that money elsewhere, and they don't like where they're grabbing it from, so they want to try to grab it from the HaHa board. That's what we all believe is going to happen. Now, in order to get that this to take place, they had to put a lot of pieces in place. Josh Wagner and Ted Duran and Manny Borneo and whoever else was involved in this, Jim Deneen or Frank Bruno or whoever else, so maybe even higher up people than that. I don't know. We don't have proof about that, but we do know who was involved in voting for those 6 people that vote as a block. These are the 6 people that put Ted Duran as in chairman, and then watch what Ted has been doing with the HaHa board, and Larry can talk more about that. But at the end of the day, they helped Joyce Cusack get elected. And one has to be very suspicious of that and then say, well, what did she have to promise them in the election to say, well, okay, you helped me get elected, I'll give you my 3 HaHa board appointments, whichever 3 you want, you'll get in control of the HaHa board to do whatever it is you want with it. And that's what we think is happening here.
Well, let me make sure we all understand, too. The opinions that you're hearing today are our opinions, and they are not necessarily all fact. Some is, but there is. These are our opinions of what's going on. You want to elaborate on what Tom just said on that, Larry?
Percy. I also know her from the first year that they established Biketoberfest, which has been a tremendous boon to our community.
Millions and millions of dollars in 19 years.
It was built in a very short time. I think the first year we had 5,000 people come here, and within a few years we had it to over 100,000 people coming here. And you know, you bring 100,000 people into a community for 3 or 4 or 5 days, they're spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's jobs. And that's jobs for, incidentally, the people in my, and this really, now I was pretty vocal at that meeting when they tried to fire Janet, when they did fire Janet. And what really ticks me off, Eddie, is when self-serving politicians or board appointment people use their positions to feather their own nests or act in a very self-serving, self-interested manner without concern to what they're doing to the general population as a whole. If this action that they have taken emasculates the CVB and we stop spending the money in advertising that's anticipated they're liable to do, that's going to be jobs. And you know, what we created in Biketoberfest was jobs.
That's right.
This action is going to cause the loss of jobs. And I'm going to use a strong word. It pisses me off when I see little people getting hurt because of the actions that are taken by people that are just, acting on behalf of their own small self-interest. Yeah. Janet was a really, really, really good person. We promoted her. I was on the board when we promoted Janet Kersey to the prior administrator executive was retiring. She was there for many years, And just last year, we promoted Janet. As a matter of fact, the guy who made the motion, you want to get really pissed? The guy who made the motion to fire her voted in an 11-0 vote to promote her to that position just last year. Now, what's that about?
And didn't they, right after firing her, go on to accept every program that she submitted?
Yes?
Yeah, that's true. It was very interesting the way that whole meeting went down. First of all, the meeting was called to order late.
Yes, I heard that.
You know, it was called to order late because one of the members, Catherine Robinson, wasn't there, which is generally unheard of. Usually meetings, you know, start on time, and if an individual member is late, they come in during the meeting. But it was, you know, everything was held, and you know, and then the first order of business was the discussion on Janet, and immediately a motion is made and seconded by the individual that was late to the meeting. So it was almost like the meeting was held because it was already pre-planned, orchestrated, which is, you know, interesting. But during the discussion, I felt it was interesting that comments being made specifically by Catherine Robinson were that after doing research, that she could not support Janet and her continuing, you know, as the executive director. And I find that somewhat comical because generally if you're going to do your research on something, you listen to both sides of the story.
Yeah, especially something this huge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would question a number of the board members and ask how many of them actually went to Janet and had a conversation with Janet about the circumstances around the Shriners Convention and all of that. And a number of them never spoke to her about that. A number of the ones that voted her off because of that issue. And it's an important issue because a lot of people don't realize, we talked about Biketoberfest. What a great event.
Yeah.
What a great event. What amount of money is brought into this community. And not only that, it was brought during the time period when this town was historically slow.
Yes.
So we went from a town being empty at a $60 a night rate to a town being full at $130, $140, $150 a night rate.
Right.
Okay, and the Shriners issue is something a little bit different. It's something that's coming in town during a time period when we are historically already busy. So there's a lot of other intricacies involved in that business that that those in the tourism industry understand, but those that are not in the tourism industry may not understand completely. So, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done on that.
We're going to be coming to the end of this show here pretty soon. This half hour sure flew by. And we're going to be doing another half hour for next week. And one of the things we're going to be coming back on is going to be the Shriners. I want to talk about the Shriners. I want to talk about Biketoberfest. I want to talk about Bike Week and where some of the money's coming from. But in the last couple of minutes that we got left here, if you guys like to sum up and say something to the audience, and we will have you back next week, and we're going to get back into this conversation because there's still a lot that we need to cover. Larry, how about yourself? You got something you'd like to leave the audience with this week?
Absolutely. The one thing that I would like to say is that, you know, I certainly believe that the community and the industry and the residents of Volusia County lost a true champion of Volusia County when Janet Kersey was let go without cause, in my opinion. She has done nothing but carry the torch for this community and for tourism in this area for 20 plus years. And it's quite disappointing that the egos and you know, personal issues of a few people have really, in my opinion, created a situation where our industry and the residents in this community are probably going to suffer dearly because of the loss of a very experienced, dedicated, absolutely dedicated, and one of the most hard-working individuals that you will ever meet. She has really done a fantastic job, and I really feel sad for the way that that entire episode went down. And quite honestly, with the turmoil in this community, especially with this board right now, I really would find it hard to see who would want to step into that position with any kind of major qualifications to replace her.
You're dead on.
With the fiasco that's going on right now.
You are dead on. Tom?
It's very unfortunate.
Well, you know, the Hob Board is one symptom, in my opinion. What happened in the Hob Board is one symptom of a change in our county that took place in the last couple of years. And I believe the folks out there, the voters out there, need to understand what huge shift has taken place in our county. The Hob Board reflects that shift. And here's the deal. We used to have a fairly balanced county council. We had two gentlemen there that are no longer there, that I believe because they aren't there, this was allowed to happen. And that was Art Giles and Jack
Absolutely.
Heyman.
Yes.
And I want
Amen.
people to start to focus on that. What happened on the Hob Board is going to happen elsewhere. It seems to be that this county council, since Jack and Art, have moved in directions that the voters, if they were more aware of and were following it closer, would not like. Because there's also another issue that they took action on that really they shouldn't have gotten away with, and that was redirecting the ECHO money from ECHO into Forever. And so there's two incidences there which clearly, Eddie, show that this county council is acting like an imperial county council. That is, that they can do things without regard to what the will of the people are. And I can tell you, when Janet Kersey walked into that room was full. As a matter of fact, that was a violation of sunshine law as far as I'm concerned, because there were 40 or 50 people out in the hallway. I don't know if our time is over and you want to save this.
Hold that thought,
Okay.
because we'll come back with that, but hold
Okay.
that thought. What you're watching is Volusia County Issues, and this is the real intent of this show, is to let you, the people of Volusia County, know what's going on in your government that's affecting your lives. My name is Crazy Eddie Colosimo. If you like the show, please give us a call. My number's at the bottom. If you have an opposing view, you're certainly welcome to bring it on. We'll make the time available to you. In the meantime, we'll be back to see you next week with the second half of this show, when we have some more very interesting topics to cover and some more information to get out to you. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next Sunday.